Are you an aspiring speaker ready to command the stage? I'm hosting my 6-week training created for the next generation of transformational speakers. That means you desire to confidently communicate the message that you've been called to share with the masses in a way that will move them to shift something in their lives immediately. If you're not scared to get in front of an audience, but your delivery hasn't made people clamor to get to you or work with you, then there's something missing. And I bet that we can pinpoint exactly what it is in this one-of-a-kind training. Doors are now open for just a short time. So come learn how to captivate your audience, attract your tribe, and use speaking from the stage physically or virtually to grow your platform exponentially. I know that I can help you become more magnetic, more powerful, and more memorable if you'll let me. To find out more details and view real-life client results, head to commandthestage.com. The training only comes around once a year, so you don't want to miss this. Come to commandthestage.com.
Back then, I thought it wasn't okay for me to say, I'm not sure, or, hey, I was hurting too, to take off the mask of perfection and show who I really was and who I really am.
You're listening to the Redefining Wealth podcast with Patrice Washington, and you have caught us in a very special week because this is a space where you come every week to learn more about what it means to chase purpose, not money. Every week, I share with you the original definition of wealth, which is the condition of well-being. But let me tell you something I know to be true. We become more well in our lives when we tell the truth about our stories. Many of us are unwell and unable to step into our purpose because we are stuffing down many of the things that have actually made us who we are and given us the heart for why we do what we do and why we desire to serve people the way that we do. And I'm here to help you break free of that during this Give Voice to Truth month. I want you to truly own your voice in the marketplace by being real about how you came to this purpose that you have. And so all week, I'm interviewing amazing graduates of my signature program, Command the Stage, because doors are now open until this Saturday, August 17th. And I want you to hear what a woman sounds like when she owns her story, when she gives voice to truth, and when she allows it to propel her in the marketplace. There is something so unique and beautiful about each and every one of these stories. And today, I'm excited to introduce you to this graduate. Dr. Trudy-Ann is a board-certified pediatric dentist, international speaker, and wellness retreat host who successfully overcame severe burnout in her medical career. She specializes in helping high-achieving women pivot from a life of stress and burnout to a more satisfied life by promoting self-care and improving physical, mental, and spiritual health. Dr. Trudy-Ann's story is not only inspirational, but it's so packed with practical advice for overall well-being. And I love that she is now doing her wellness retreats. This is an experience for professional women who are yearning for a deeper connection with themselves so that they can achieve healing, self-awareness, and thrive all in her supportive community. Without further ado, here is Dr. Trudy-Ann Frazer. Welcome to the Redefining Wealth podcast, Dr. Trudy-Ann.
Thank you so much, Patrice. It is an honor being here.
I am so excited to chat with you today. And I have to say, I really didn't get to know you much during your cohort of Command the Stage. You know, there's some people where, you know, they're so vocal throughout the program that you can't help but learn about their story so intimately and who they are in the world and all the other things that they do. And while I know that I've seen you on Instagram for quite some time, I didn't even realize that you had gone through Command the Stage. And I see you all the time on Instagram and had no idea until I asked, like, hey, who are some of our graduates who would like to share about their experience and Command the Stage? And then I'm like, a pediatric dentist? What? I had no idea. It's just so different than anything that we normally hear. So I would love to just recall how you found me and what made you, a dentist, say, I need a speaker training?
Oh my goodness. Patrice, I was waiting for you to stop so I could just burst out and share. So firstly, I want to pause and thank you and others that are listening for walking in your God-given call. One of my other coaches always says that the passion is the flame of the candle, but the purpose is the candle itself. And that passion could wade in the water. Life happens, and sometimes that candlelight dims or it actually goes out, but the purpose still remains. So for you and the other women, I assume that most of your listeners are women, but the other individuals that are listening that are just keeping our hands on that plow and leaning into the purpose. I know you always say chase purpose, not money, right? Clearly, I listened to your messages, but I just wanted to stop and pause and thank you because for you, as well as the other trailblazers and the other listeners that are here present today that are walking and leaning into that call, no matter how hard it gets, I want to just say thank you because you're inspiring other people. Like it's one hand leading the other. I mean, I know this is not political, but we have a lot of women doing their things right now and inspiring others to lean in and to say yes and to try the thing differently. So to transition, I know you probably want to say something, but I'm going to keep going.
No, I just want to say thank you.
You're
just
welcome.
Simply thank you for that acknowledgement.
Yeah, for sure. You're so welcome. My story, I'm sure it started when I was little. I am originally from Jamaica, but when I was 9, I came to Atlanta. My parents came first. They migrated first. And then my younger sister and I came and you do all the things. Mommy, I want to model. Go model your book. You do all the things that you're taught because that's what you do. My child is going to be a doctor. She's going to be, whatever it is that your parents say do, that's what you do, especially coming from an immigrant household. So I did all the things. I became Dr. Trudy-Ann Frazer, #1 in my dental school class, mission work. I mean, all the things that you're taught to do. Growing up in a conservative belief and keeping yourself, quote unquote, pure for your husband. Because what man want pick the fruit that's already been touch, right? So I did all the things that I know to do. But what I know to be true now, Patrice, is that input does not always equal output. And we do serve a God that, he brings purpose from our trials, purpose from our pain, and purpose from our intention. I think you said it last week and I held on to it on one of your lives. You said, give God something to work with. Yes, you did. You said, give God something to work with.
Give God something to bless. Yeah.
So I did that. And I married my first husband. I married a guy who I thought was perfect for me in that moment with what I knew. And it was 4 years in and I found myself on the bathroom floor for the 4th time, bawling my eyes out, trying to figure out how I got here. Because I dimmed my light for his to shine. I didn't put up all my diplomas on the walls so that he could feel more manly and I could be the submissive wife. I put on the lipstick and tried to be cute while going to work, full-time job, fighting, screaming kids. Yes, I'm a kid's dentist. Coming home to be what I thought to be this perfect wife, but it was not enough. And what I learned from that experience is that no matter how dim I make my light, unless somebody else is working on themselves and filling their own cup, I can deplete my cup as much as I want, but I will never be enough for that person because they can't give me what I don't have. And it takes 2 to dance. And I was dancing by myself. I was tangoing by myself. So I found myself on the floor, once again, figuring out how I got there. And I was praying and listening to Jessica Reedy better over and over on repeat. Like, I can do better. God has better. And I believe in marriage, but I also believe even more than I believe in marriage that God did not create me for toxicity. So I leaned into my mama. Oh, I need to pause right there. God did not create me nor you, sister, for toxicity. And I was created for a greater purpose. And I could not fulfill my purpose. My light couldn't shine because it was so toxic. So I needed out. And I listened to my mom. She said, I didn't create you to get married for show. We're not doing that. You live next door and I live in the basement floor. We don't do that. So if you need to come home, I'm not telling you to leave, but if you need to come home, our door is always open. And I came home to my parents' house and bawled and cried. And God bless my old boss. I worked 1 day a week until I could put the pieces together, until I could see myself as being enough, because I'm enough just as I am. And I gave my power away to this gentleman who I thought knew what to do with it. But I had to lean into my worth and know that I was enough, whether I had the title as a dentist, whether I had a title as a wife, whether I had a title as a mother. I was enough just as who I am because God created me that way. So that's where my story started. And I'm going to pause right there because I see your face.
Ooh, girl, I identify with so much of what you just shared from the immigrant parents. You know, I'm Belizean. So from the immigrant parents and the people already telling you who you're going to be and what you're going to do and what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. And whether it was said directly or demonstrated indirectly, there were just some things that as a child, I learned how to police myself. They didn't even have to say it after a while. I just knew certain things, which led for me to an addiction to achievement. Like, oh, this is how I earn love. This is how you get respect. This is how you stand out from all of these first cousins and all of these half siblings and all of the people. This is the thing. It's the achievement. Be the one. And how that carried on to me in other relationships as I matured, in romantic relationships, and self-censoring, silencing myself, dimming lights in ways. And you know what's really interesting, Dr. Trudy-Ann? What's really interesting is how brightly you can shine publicly so that you are getting so much validation and affirmation and adoration. You don't even realize how much you've normalized dimming privately and personally. There was a time in my life where, and not that long ago, where if you asked me, I wouldn't have said that I was in a place where I was dimming my light. I was doing what I had to do to keep the peace, even if it was subconsciously doing what I had to do to, like you said, edify someone else. Man, thank God for these bathroom floor moments, girl. They don't feel good when you are in it, but what an awakening we get to have in order to step into redefining. So you went back to the parents' home, you regrouped, and what emerged from that experience?
A rebuilding and recognizing that I didn't need all the things to be okay, to be praised, to be seen, to be heard, to be understood. I love what you said about the affirmation and the adoration, because I'm in therapy now. I'm actually in trauma therapy with one of my therapists to realize that I would place myself in this box and I needed space to be okay because I was so addicted to not necessarily challenging, because I would challenge, I would ask why, but I would conform because that's what we were taught to do. I was classically conditioned to conform. This is what you do. This is how you act. This is how you act in public. In private, at home, I would rebel, but in public, no, you don't bring shame. So I was redefining, in essence. It was like a place of pause to figure out what it is that Trudy wanted. What seeds were planted that needed to be dug up and thrown in the trash so that new seeds could be planted so that I could grow differently, not necessarily change who I was, but maybe change the direction that I was going in. So I bawled. I went to therapy. I starved myself because that's how I was processing. I bawled, went to more therapy. And through that process, I realized that I was just living the life that I was taught, not necessarily the one that I wanted. So I started with my pain, my external pain. So as a dentist, what most people don't know is they see us and we're happy-go-lucky. But a lot of us suffer from pain, like neck, back, shoulder pain, mental pain. Like when you go, I'm going to take this as a moment. I know this is not a dental podcast, but stop telling your dentist that you hate the dentist. It does something to us because we're people too. Rephrase it. Say what you're really, take a moment to pause to say what you're really saying. What you're really saying is, I'm scared when I come to this place. It's not that you hate the dentist. Patrice, if everybody showed up on your podcast or that came to your coaching program that said, I hate coaches, you're like, well, damn, what about coaching?
Right.
Sorry, I said a bad word. So I cuss, but I love to.
Girl, you fine. You're fine. You're fine. No, that is so true. That is so true. I personally am someone who loves going to the dentist. I'm one of those weird people that go every 4 months. But anyway, Dr. Lisa, who is also a client, of the Redefining Wealth program, she was just on recently, and she talked about too, as a surgeon, kind of that same dynamic. But we've talked about how much physical pain she is often in while trying to help other people resolve their own pain, and how we don't even think about that as, just general population or consumers or clients or patients. And wow, I had never heard anyone say that. Even that one piece is something that's going to be a blessing. We need to start sharing with people, because we always say words are powerful. Words are so powerful, and we don't even think how flippant that word choice is. Man, thank you for that nugget.
You're welcome. And I hope other dentists are blessed because of that. But nonetheless, my mental pain, because I'm an empath and I'm a highly sensitive person. So instead of observing and acknowledging the pain, the anxiety from not just the parent, but also the child, because I'm a pediatric dentist. So I have 2 patients, not just one. I used to absorb it. So that mental pain was manifesting itself physically in strain and stress. I was giving so much of myself at work and absorbing so much of the negativity at work. And then I was once in a toxic work environment. So the patient interaction was tough. My interaction with my boss was tough. And when I came home, I didn't come home to safety. It was not a safe space mentally. Physically, no, I was not being physically abused, but mentally it was toxic. So I was being broken down so much in all aspects of my life that I did not have a reprieve. And I didn't realize, unfortunately, Patrice, I grew up in an environment where therapy was not normalized. It wasn't, let me go talk to somebody. It was, you're in therapy. What's wrong with you? So I was not running to talk to somebody, just sit on their green couch. I love my green couch. I wasn't. So I was suffering, and I was suffering in public, smiling. Somebody asked me the other day, are you always happy? I said, no. But I was smiling in public, but internally I was suffering from a slow, silent death. And it wasn't until my marriage went to shambles until I stopped to say, something's wrong. God didn't create me for this. And I started with therapy because I didn't have a choice. So I waited until I was completely broken to realize that I needed to put some pieces together. And my therapist started me with the lack of control. Like us high achievers, a lot of times we become control freaks out of fear, because that's what it is. It's fear of failure. It's fear of not achieving. So we try to control what we can. So it started there. And then I started mentally putting things back together and realizing that I was worthy just because I am, regardless of who I worked for or what my title was or who I was married to. Then physically, I got a trainer, and Holly, God bless her, I need to go back to her, started to work with me. But I didn't get any trainer. I got a trainer that worked with people that were injured because my pain was chronic. It wasn't like, oh, I have a sprained ankle, let me go to a physical therapist. I had chronic pain. So I needed somebody that understood that yelling at me to go harder was actually going to injure me more. So I did all the things. My framework now is working on your PMS. So I'll give everybody PMS, men and women, pouring into your wellness, your physical, your mental, your spiritual wellness. And as I started to put the pieces together, I realized, wait, there are other people suffering in silence. How can I help them? And according to one of my childhood friends, girl, you've been coaching your whole life. You've just been doing it for free. So I've always had, once again, that empath. I wanted to not just succeed, but I wanted to turn around and help somebody else. but I needed the voice and I needed the tools and I needed the platform to do it. So here comes me on Instagram and hearing this really cool, loud Black girl that's not afraid to shine brightly the same way I do. Because I believe that both people can shine. My light can be bright, yours can be bright, and we'll light up the whole room together.
That's right. That's right.
I see myself in her. She laughs loud. She shows up boldly. Look, I loved it. So I started to listen to you. You started talking about purpose. And I always said, I'm not a dentist just for the money. I'm a dentist so I can change lives, so I can help people get out of pain. But what I wanted to do was, here comes that box analogy. I felt trapped in this box, going to work, going home, going to work, going home. I was like, my life is created for greater than just this box. And recently I said, wait, if I'm going to die and go in a box and go on the ground, I dang sure don't want to live my whole life in this box. There is more for me. And other people need to hear it from me. My people need to hear that it's okay. And they need to hear it the Trudy way, the loud way, the vulnerable way, if my lipstick falls off, I don't care. Like, show up.
Girl.
So I found you and you offered command the stage. And I said, I don't know what stage I'm commanding yet. I don't know what my voice is yet. I'm still putting the pieces back together. But this girl sounds like somebody I can relate to. So I took your course. That was my first speaker course, my first one. And that was about maybe 4 years ago now.
Yeah. So you shared earlier, you may have been in the second cohort. So that would have been like late 2020, early 2021, somewhere around there.
Yeah, it was during COVID.
Wow. It was during COVID for sure. Wow. First of all, already your story. I mean, this is our first time really meeting. Like, I feel like just genuinely having conversation. And I see myself in you. So in the same way, and I love that. Like you said, when one person's light is shining, it doesn't dim anyone else's. Like, wow. Even in your framework, it just reminds me of starting with the fit pillar. You went and got yourself mentally and physically well for the journey. And it's only led to so many other amazing things, I'm sure. So I would love to hear, going through Command the Stage, what surprised you most? Like, what did you think it was going to be? And what do you feel, was a big surprise in that process? What did you learn about yourself even?
Yeah. So it was my first speaker training program. So I came with it with virgin eyes and ears. So I didn't have an expectation. I just know I've had a coach in the past that says people buy from people they like, know, and trust. I liked you. I felt like I knew you. So I trusted you to teach me something I didn't already know. So I approached Command the Stage with just, I don't have anything else to do. The world is shut down. Let's try this. And that's just me being honest. I didn't know what to expect. Now I understand because I've taken other speaker training programs, but I really enjoyed your vulnerability. And that's what surprised me. And that's what I lead with now. I've actually adopted that framework in when I teach, when I coach, when I speak, because I think what you said, it came to me and I've tried to go find my notes, but I was like, I remember it. It was called the Mountaintop Expert. I hope it's okay for me to give little nuggets here, but the Mountaintop Expert, I was taught, I think it's because as a quote unquote doctor, people come to you for solutions. So back then, I thought it wasn't okay for me to say, I'm not sure, or, hey, I was hurting too, to take off the mask of perfection and show who I really was and who I really am. And that, I don't remember what analogy you used, but it was pretty much something about a valley and being vulnerable so other people could see themselves. And what I've learned from that experience, my bio makes this Mountaintop Expert already. The table is set. It's now for me to feed people what they can digest. In order to do that, I have to take off my mask because everybody can't digest Dr. Trudy-Ann Frazer, international speaker, but they may be able to digest, I was on the bathroom floor crying.
That's right.
They may be able to digest, you know what? I was struggling too, and I made it, and so can you. They may be able to digest, girlfriend, take a deep breath because I get stuck too.
Yeah.
So your class was the first one, your course was the first one that taught me that there was power in vulnerability. And now I lead with that as my superpower, Patrice. I take off the mask first. And as a really good girlfriend of mine says, vulnerability begets vulnerability. And whether I'm at a retreat, because I host retreats now, to teach women that they are worthy, that they are enough, how to pour into themselves and place ourselves first. Or if I'm on a stage, I'm on this platform and they're sitting in the audience, they see me. It's almost set up for them to see me as higher because I am on a higher physical level. But I take that mask off. And sometimes I go in the audience and I sit down. They're like, oh my God, why are you sitting next to me? It's making me uncomfortable. I'm sitting next to you to make you realize that I was once in your seat and you can get up and say, I got this too. So I do the same thing, not just in my retreats, person to person, but I can do it. It's a skill that you can learn from a stage by taking off your vulnerability. And what I find is by doing that, not just do I inspire people, but I empower them and I have lasting impact. They remember, they remember how it made them feel.
Yes.
So they say, oh yeah, I remember that girl told me that this. So.
And that's what it's about, right? So Command the Stage is not about just being a educational speaker or transactional. We understand that you're smart, right? And I'm saying you're smart because this podcast attracts high achievers, overachievers, people who are so used to achieving. And like we said earlier, having the labels and the titles that give them the validation. However, we're not always met with it being okay to embrace vulnerability. We're not always okay with understanding that two things can be true. We can be high achievers in our professional and public careers and still have these moments. And I believe the moments that give us the purpose, the moments that introduce us to what we're really called to do and who we're really called to be. We need those valleys and those moments of awakening in order to continue to evolve. But we're not always taught, especially again, both come from immigrant families. Like some of these things are signs of weakness, it's shame, it's embarrassment. My dad is never going to be excited about telling someone that I had a bathroom floor moment. He only wants to say my daughter was on Steve Harvey or Dr. Oz or in Cosmopolitan. But I would never have been in those places without my bathroom floor moment. And it does the audience a disservice to act like you've always been on the mountaintop, because how do people see themselves in that? And so we're not called, I believe there are some of us, I can't say all because there's a place for all of these different types of speakers, but if you are listening and you know that you are called to support people in transformation, what Dr. Trudy-Ann is expressing is being someone who wants to see people take action. We want to see people actualize the plan to go forth and do whatever it is you feel called to do. A training is only going to go so far, but transformation is bringing you so deeply into my own story that if you listen to, see, and feel my rise in power, you understand that you have the ability to do the same. If I just educate you and tell you, oh, do this step 1, step 2, step 3, you're like, well, that's easy for you to say, mountaintop, right? That's easy for you to say, you're educated and you're this and you're that. No, the only way that we can go get our people is to be vulnerable, is to share some of those undesirable moments in our experience. And this is when I learned that that is what I was doing for people. I stopped referring to myself as just a motivational speaker. I stopped referring to myself as an educator and trainer. All of those things encompass who I am as a transformational speaker. When someone says to me, I literally, as you were speaking, made the doctor's appointment on my phone because I heard you talk about the fit pillar and, protecting the vessel. I had not been to the doctor in 6 years and I was able to catch throat cancer because I heard you speak and made a decision in that moment to do something different. That's transformational. Me just saying, hey, you should make doctor's appointments. Well, we all know that, right? Like, oh, you should check in. We all know that. But being able to share my own moments with discovering different things about how I had put my own health in jeopardy in the name of pursuing purpose is what became a wake-up call and an alarm for other people. And isn't it beautiful that when we allow ourselves to step into this, the way we're able to help other people step into their next? Like every time I think about it, I'm overwhelmed with gratitude that that's what I get to do. And I'm so grateful too. When people tell me like, I'm so great, thank God for your obedience. Me too. I'm grateful too that I was obedient, that this life is just not full of trials and tribulations, that you also get to see how you can be of service to other people's transformation. What a gift.
Absolutely. I was here just having goosebumps because I know the feeling of somebody coming up to you and saying, hey, because you said that, I've actually tried to do that.
Are you an aspiring speaker ready to command the stage? I'm hosting my 6-week training created for the next generation of transformational speakers. That means you desire to confidently communicate the message that you've been called to share with the masses in a way that will move them to shift something in their lives immediately. If you're not scared to get in front of an audience, but your delivery hasn't made people clamor to get to you or work with you, then there's something missing. And I bet that we can pinpoint exactly what it is in this one-of-a-kind training. Doors are now open for just a short time. So come learn how to captivate your audience, attract your tribe, and use speaking from the stage physically or virtually to grow your platform exponentially. I know that I can help you become more magnetic, more powerful, and more memorable if you'll let me. To find out more details and view real-life client results, head to commandthestage.com. The training only comes around once a year, so you don't want to miss this. Come to commandthestage.com.
I think I want to give somebody who's considering taking the Command the Stage course one bit of advice, because the course, you alluded to it, the course is a tool, but the shovel can only dig the dirt if the person that's supposed to use the shovel actually picks it up and utilizes it. So the courses that we take, I've taken double-digit courses. I'm not in the hundreds yet, but I've taken double-digit courses. And they're courses that I took and said, okay, I'll put it in my back pocket. But the impact is only, the transformation is only going to be made if we, person, human, woman with the story, is brave enough to say, you know what? I don't have it figured out yet, but I have one thing and I'm going to utilize that one thing. I'm going to use this shovel. You don't have the dump trucks that move all the dirt. You don't have that yet. But maybe that's not the people that you're called to serve yet. Maybe you're only called to serve the people that can only digest a little bit of the dirt, that the one little shovel can feed them. So the challenge I have for those listening that are considering taking Command the Stage is commit to doing one thing. Because our fight or flight, our nervous system will tell us, I'm scared, I can't do that. I don't have time for that. I don't have the tools. I don't have the money. I don't have the skills. Who's going to listen to me anyway? That imposter, right? But commit to one thing. You may not be able to say, I'm not ready to go on stage yet and talk to thousands of people. But maybe you can do a little retreat and invite two of your girlfriends and call it a retreat. Try something. Utilize the tools and feed the people that can digest the little bit of dirt that shovel can feed. So try one, commit to one thing. Do that one thing.
Oh, that is so good. I just saw a Facebook memory the other day from 2013, and I don't even remember exactly what the words are in this moment, but I remember having the feeling and knowing, I said, oh, I've been saying this for 10 years. It was the exact same thing. It might as well have been give God something to bless. It was one of those things that I say all the time that people always reflect back to me and say back to me. And in that moment, I thought, this is why we have to say it until other people believe it. But we have to keep practicing how we say it, when we say it, where we say it, to build our own conviction, right? In order to support others. And there comes a time when you see people And we judge ourselves against their 10.0 versions. And we're like, well, I'm not there yet. I just have my little hand shovel. I don't even have a big shovel with a long, handle. I just have a little hand shovel. But the thing is, if you are, let's call it at a 3.0 version of what you see for yourself, there are still ones and twos who need you. There are still ones who don't know that they have the power to go pick up a shovel. And they just need to know that that is a possibility for them. And so we get caught up in like, well, I haven't done all the things. I don't know all the stuff. But we have to take the next best step. And I love that you said Command the Stage was the first speaker training. I don't know why people get so upset with the idea or get caught up in their minds that it's a one and done thing. When God is calling you to evolve, you literally go, you follow the nudges, and you understand that when I take this step, there's something that I'm going to learn. There's seeds that will be planted. There's new perspective that will be illuminated for me. And now I marry that with what I feel like my mission is in this moment. And then I take it into the next thing. And I love seeing, and I've seen many of the clients go on and work with different people who have a specialty and taking them to the next level. I always say Command the Stage is definitely 0 to 5. 0 to 5 years of experience is really for people who don't even realize that they have a powerful story yet. And they don't even know which defining moment to choose and how to leverage who they already are with that moment to just create a process for themselves. And I love, and I can own that my space, my place in this space has been, first of all, to be obedient because I deliver it the way God gave it to me. And second of all, to help women in particular, but we do have men who've also taken Command the Stage, but to help women give voice to truth. And I think for many people who come to Command the Stage, it is the permission slip that this story and my vulnerability within the story does not have to make me a victim to the story. I get to position myself as a victor. And whether I'm going to serve people who are at the 1.0, 2.0, or I've already surpassed that, and I'm 1 through 4s, I'm 1 through 9s, whatever you decide to use it for, just knowing that it is possible. Sometimes you just need to see the possibility reflected back to you. And I love being, for many people, that initial stepping stone in possibility.
Yes. And you were the possibility that I needed, especially during COVID, because the dental offices were closed. So it was a good time to really lean in and say, I want more. Back then, I used to say my passion is greater than the four walls of the dental office. But then as I've come to learn and done the work, it's more than passion, it's purpose. My purpose is greater than the four walls of the dental office. Now, God has taught me to stop running from dentistry because there's so many, especially little girls that look like me, that see me, that are inspired, that want to know, do I matter? And am I enough? That I'm able to bless every single day. So yes, there's a space for that. But from my experience, I want to bless the bigger girls too, the 30, the 40, the 50. In March, we had a 67-year-old lady come to our retreat in Jamaica. Our last one was in Jamaica.
Love.
To pause and breathe and say, this is my first time in my entire life putting myself first and taking care of myself. And my voice cracks because it's such a powerful thing that unfortunately we wait until we have our bathroom floor moment to prioritize ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm not thankful for the pain, but I'm thankful and I'm honored that God has given me this platform to know that there's purpose in my pain. And I'm not afraid to speak it. I used to get in trouble for school for talking. Trudy talks too much. A+, talks too much. Now I'm getting paid to talk too much.
That's why you like me. That is exactly why you like me. I just watched a talk of mine from Women's Real Estate Investment Network, maybe last summer. And sometimes I rarely get to go back and watch the videos or the footage, but for some reason I stumbled upon it in our Google Drive folder and I got to watching it. And I just laughed at myself. I am so silly on stage. Sometimes it still wows me that people actually pay me to do this, but I had a moment where I talked about getting in trouble for talking in school. And I said the same thing. I'm like, and now they pay me to talk. And I stuck my tongue out and all that. And yeah, I was like, hey, there's like 3,000 people in the audience, clapping and cheering. And I kicked my leg up. And it's just that reminder, too, that transformation can be fun.
Yes.
Like we're gearing up for Redefining Wealth Live in a few months here. And I'm like, transformation can be fun. And what a beautiful way, once you are positioned to share vulnerably, people can receive all parts of you. That's the other thing about this whole journey for me, and what I see for people who really commit to and take a lot of these principles from Command the Stage, is that as I have risen in this place, like in my own understanding, awareness, power, acknowledgement of all of who I am, I could bring all of myself. There was a time, right, years ago, when I thought I had to be this serious financial educator and all the things, that I was suppressing my silly. I was suppressing the vulnerability. I was just trying to get straight to the meat and the nuts and bolts. And it's like, you haven't even built up rapport. People don't even like you yet. You over here trying to get in their business. They don't like you like that yet. And I love that too, that I get to see myself as I was watching that talk, even just yesterday, see myself as I really am in all my fullness, that I could be so empowering and also so silly, and use humor and use my grandmother's accent when it's appropriate, and, just bring all the parts. Isn't that beautiful? Do you ever look back at yourself, or reflect on yourself teaching or talking or training and just go, wow, this is the stuff I got in trouble for?
Yes.
Look at me.
Absolutely. So I call it living life in color and being loud and unapologetic. And Patrice, it's what makes you you. It's the seasoning salt. Because what I remember a coaching mentor of mine said, you not just have to find your voice, but you have to find your what makes people want to come and listen to you. Because I'm silly. Because I'm going to have them go back and bouncing. That the things that we think we're not supposed to do are the very things that people like us for, because it differentiates us from the other person. Not just that I'm a Black woman, a tall Black woman, but am I going to make you laugh? And am I going to make you cry? Am I going to make you sit back and pause? And am I going to bring that to different stages that I step upon? Absolutely. So yeah, I live boldly. I live loud. And thank God that I'm okay with that. And who is not for me? I got a review maybe last year that said, not my type of speaker. And I said, you know what, Lord, thank you. Because that was one review out of 300. Am I going to focus on the one? Or am I going to focus on the 299? And I've learned to focus on that 299.
What I've learned too in this season is that everyone who can hear me is not necessarily assigned to me. So audiences are made up of many different souls in many different places and spaces of their journey. And they have a right to their preference, just like we all have a right. That's why there's so much bread on the bread aisle. That's why we have so many different choices in coffee creamer. We have variety, but to tone down my voice to try to conform to what you may want is wild. And that is something that when we were living in the box, we already did, as we both talked about dimming our lights in other places. And then at this stage of life, and as my daughter and her friends say, at this big age, I understand that an audience is a crowd of onlookers. And so when we take the stage, there's just people staring back at us. There's just people who are looking there. They're like, okay, what we going to do? Give me whatever you came to give me. But the people who are assigned to me, those people lean in. Those people get exactly what they're supposed to get. And they only get it if I show up as fully myself. So to try to conform to please the one means that I could miss the 299. Or I can miss the 30, I can miss the 50 who need me to show up exactly as God created me. so that they could get the breakthrough and transformation. I still do believe, as I said back when you took command the stage, an audience of one is still an audience. An audience of one is still an audience. And sometimes now, obviously, the more stages you speak on and the more sets of ears that are listening, then that starts to multiply. But my heart and my spirit and my posture still is, if I blessed one person, I did my job. I was obedient. I came to do what God called me to do. And I allow myself to be fully present and have all the fun I could while doing it. Mm-hmm. A win is a win.
Right. So you just blessed me. And yes, I love how authentic you are, because I remember you saying that. I remember being like, why would I show up to talk to an audience of one? Because you don't know who that person is. Because sometimes it's one to many. Sometimes it's not many. So my next big thing, I'm actually hosting. I'm the dentist member host of the biggest conference in America. It's called SmileCon. It's the American Dental Association conference in New Orleans in October. So I'm super excited about that. But something that you just said, because I keep imagining my superhero shot, right? My photographer is going to be behind me and he's going to see me talking to thousands. So I'm super excited about that.
Yes.
But you just blessed me, Patrice, because it comes full circle. Instead of course, the nerves are there. The nerves are always there because I care. The nerves go away when you stop caring. But you just blessed me. And I think the listeners, our listeners, need to really reflect on this, right? Using that shovel, that audience of one. And I need to remember to look for my people, my one person that's engaged, as opposed to seeing the masses and letting it scare me. Because it's going to be thousands. I think there's like 7,000 or 8,000 people coming to this conference.
I love it. I love this.
But I still need to treat it like I'm talking to that one, so I could show up authentically, vulnerably, and live in color like little Trudy-Ann. So super duper excited. The other exciting thing that I have coming up is my retreat. And this is my purpose work. I think I shared with you earlier that I was suffering. And when I would turn to other female dentists, older, I'm 37. I don't look like that, but I've been practicing for 11 years. And the 20, 30, 40-year-old practicing dentist, I'm like, why didn't you tell me? They were like, Trudy, I'm just recognizing that this is not normal. Toxicity, overworking, beating yourself into the ground was normalized. It is normalized. It's still normalized. But now I'm raising my hand and saying, no more. You're suffering. You're just ashamed, or you've been classically conditioned to suffer. And I want to break the silence. So our next retreat, a lot of women said, hey, I want to come locally. What about locally? So our next one is in the Georgia mountains, November 7th through the 10th. And it's not just for doctors. I've had women come that were teachers. I've had school principals come. I have an attorney coming all the way from Anguilla. I'm so excited to have her. I met her on Instagram, the power of social media. So people from all different walks of life, it doesn't matter our titles. We actually don't talk about our titles because we're more alike than we are different, and our titles separate us. So that's the next big thing for me, is putting a community of women together, going on a mountain retreat where we're separate from the woes, the trials of life, and filling our cups and learning the tools, getting our little shovels, right? I never profess to have it all together, but I say I'm step one. Do you need a therapist? How can I help you find one? You need a break. How do we do breath work? What is breath work? What does that look like for you? What does self-care look like? How do we start? So I'm the quote unquote general practitioner that you go and say, Doc, my eye hurt. Where do I go from here? So I'm the where do I go from here? And I invite any of our listeners that are nervous, but still want a safe and vulnerable community where you can take that daggone mask off, take that veil. Yes, you're the CFO of God knows what out there, but right now you're just Patrice. And what do you need to not just show up, but to thrive? So let's do it together.
I love it. Yes, I absolutely love this. Can I be honest with you? I really don't believe anything changes in those pillars until you are willing to take radical action. And sometimes that means you have to get out of the comfort zone that is your house right now. I want to invite you to Redefining Wealth Live. Take radical action and come and join me live in person, October 6th through 8th, because this is going to be a transformative experience like no other. This is not a business conference, so we're not loading this with all the how-tos and to-dos and just strategy. This is about your soul. Redefining Wealth Live is a vibrant gathering of spirit-led, like-hearted purpose chasers who come together to awaken, redefine, and actualize wealth in every area of their lives. The goal is to move you from autopilot to authenticity. So I want you to picture yourself leaving, not just inspired, but transformed. In our deeply connected community, we go beyond talking. We collaborate, we apply actionable insights, we work on our scripts, we get in our wisdom circles and really talk about our individual next steps. This is an unparalleled connection. There is clarity and confidence in that room that you want to apply to your life. You need this in order to bring your vision to life. So this is the room you want to be in, October 6th through 8th. I want to invite you to go to redefiningwealthlive.com right now to secure your spot. That's redefiningwealthlive.com right now. And when you do, you'll have access to our next bonus co-created connection call where you can learn from me well before the event and also start to connect with other attendees. You don't want to miss this. redefiningwealthlive.com. I'll just point out one more thing before I let you go. I do feel like I could talk to you all day. Like, I just feel so much synergy. But one more thing that I just want to make sure that I give voice to is that you said you connected with someone else, I think the attorney from Anguilla, because of social media. And this is also where I do believe that building your voice and being able to command the stage is not just about being on the physical stage. It is every time we have an opportunity to open our mouths, whether it is a physical stage or a virtual stage, or a live on Instagram or Facebook, or an interview of some kind, or meeting someone in the grocery store and they say, "Oh, what do you do?" Because you're both waiting in line, or whatever it is. Life's a stage. And if you are not communicating in a way that allows people to, like you said about me, when you found me, know, like, and trust you, they don't feel like there's any connection. We don't have all this time to build rapport and connection with people. You have moments, you have seconds. If you got a minute, that is it in a lot of spaces. And your ability and the work that you've been doing, perhaps starting with Command the Stage and then just on and beyond with the other things, are what are creating people wanting to come and be in community with you and leave the sunshine and the beaches of Anguilla to get in the mountains of North Georgia. But that is what it will do. It will magnetize the people assigned to you. And that is what this is about. Because when your heart is in the right place and you truly desire the best for people, the ability to magnetize and attract them, as I did with you unknowingly. I'm just showing up, being loud. Hey, this is me, right? And just doing my thing. But I just thank God. Look at all the amazing, incredible women who have been attracted into the Redefining Wealth community, such as yourself, because of one seed of obedience. I believe I have something to say. I got in trouble for talking for so many years. Now let me speak with purpose. Now let me talk and say the things that I feel compelled to say because I believe it could be a blessing and could set someone on their path. And that is what I see in you. And it is so inspiring to watch. It is so beautiful to see. Again, I saw you on social media and never even knew that you were in Command the Stage, but I've gotten to see you, even in little reels, commanding the stage. And what an honor and a blessing. I realize that there's so many people at this point where I would never even know that our paths had crossed, honestly, or that I had even a little mustard seed part of any of those things. But when I get to talk to women like you, my God, is it a blessing? And the people that get to come join you in the North Georgia mountains, whether you go to North Georgia, girl, or have a retreat in Northern Ireland, the people that you get to impact, I will always be, it feels good to know that the ripple effect of purpose, the ripple effect of obedience, the ripple effect of giving voice to your truth, the ripple effect of owning your story, the ripple effect of like locking arms with incredible women and us all rising. It's just so beautiful. It's so beautiful. I'm so grateful.
That's amazing. I feel like you sound like a proud big sister over there.
I am. I really am. I am. Thank you for sharing your story with me. Thank you for sharing your story with us. I am truly moved by what you're doing and what you're up to, and just grateful that if you got one thing from Command the Stage, it contributed to you taking your next best step. God, I'm so grateful. So thank you. Thank you for being here. We're going to link to everything that you shared in the show notes. I just encourage you guys. Dr. Trudy-Ann is beautiful. You can just tell inside and out. I usually pray before the episodes, and Dr. Trudy-Ann, before we started recording, first thing she said is, "Can I pray?" And I was like, "Girl, yeah, I usually do the praying around here, but I receive it." And it just goes to show how when you show up in your most authentic version, how you can attract your people. You can attract like the types of people. That's why I always say our community is so like-hearted. So yeah, thank you. Just sincerest thanks for being here. And we will definitely link to all the wonderful things that you're up to.
Thank you, Patrice. Thank you for listening, everybody.
You guys, Command the Stage is open currently. If you are an emerging speaker or an experienced speaker, you've been speaking for a while, but you know that you're not in a place yet where people are necessarily clamoring to get to you, where they're not necessarily magnetized to you yet. There may be something a little off. There may be something that you're protecting in that story. And Command the Stage is not just me. We also now have, since Dr. Trudy came through Command the Stage, we now also have a clarity coach to help you connect the dots in the program, as well as ambassadors. These are alumni ambassadors who have also leveraged the framework that I teach in Command the Stage to build their own careers, their own entrepreneurial journeys, and also to build their voices personally. And so I have locked arms with 6 other people who are all a part of Command the Stage. And our intention is that you get to create a business and life that allows you to be your most authentic self, but the version of yourself that allows you to see yourself, see yourself as God created you, see yourself as your purpose, has been assigned to you, but also see yourself as someone who has the power to transform people without conforming to older versions of you that no longer serve you. And if that sounds like something that you are interested in, I want to remind you that the doors to Command the Stage are open, not for much longer, but they are open currently. So please go to commandthestage.com to learn more. And I hope that in some time, as time passes, I'll be able to share the same space and conversation with you and hear about the ripple effect of what really learning and owning your voice can do in your life and your business, just as it has for Dr. Trudy-Ann. So with that, I will see you guys on the next episode. Until next time, I want you to go live your life's purpose, find fulfillment, and earn more without ever feeling like you have to chase money. We'll talk to you later.